the lifestyle diseases, what they mean is because of sedentary lifestyle. So if sedentary lifestyle is changed also, the diseases which are developing due to sedentary lifestyle will not get reversed. Actually, that word itself is actually erroneously named, because all diseases are related to lifestyle. Because each and every regimen or each and every activity is having an impact on human body. But here the point of discussion is sedentary lifestyle, which can eventually cause, or it's a risk factor for so many diseases like hypertension. It can lead to myocardial infarction or heart attack, stroke, or it can lead to obesity, it can lead to cancers and many others. So that sedentary lifestyle, if you change also, once this diseases develop, if you change also, the disease will not get reversed. The cause mechanisms are to be addressed. Then only it will be reversed, and that is not there in Western medicine or Western system. So they consider these diseases as lifestyle diseases. These lifestyle modifications and drugs they prescribe would delay the complications. So it is not going to reverse because cause mechanisms are not addressed. So it will be delaying the complications only. But science-based, evidence-based Ayurveda, as she told, is discoveries regarding the application of science. So Ayurveda is a natural science which explains the natural phenomena, explained, explored, established everything in human beings itself. So the effect of, or effect and nature of food, effect and nature of lifestyle, herbs, herbal formulations, everything is studied in human beings itself. So there is no further research is required. So all these effects are mentioned in the science, but the response will vary from individual to individual because their intrinsic, so many variations will be there because their genetic makeup is different, their immune status is different, their climatic conditions are different, their food habituation, previous diseases, what all treatments they have been taking. Based on all this, their internal environment will be, status will be determined. And based on that status, you will be responding to all those things. So lifestyle itself, a cause becomes a cause only when it produces a disease. So there are so many causes, but in modern science, they consider it as risk factor only. So cigarette smoking or hypertension or dyslipidemia, etc. are risk factors. But Ayurveda clearly explains how this is going to affect in human beings and how they are going to respond in different status. So the status of the individual is also very important. So that only a science-based practitioner can understand the cause in the individual. So cause can vary from individual to individual. Also the status of the disease as well as status of the subject, and the medicine is determined. Medicine along with regimen are determined along with modifications in according to the treatment principle, and the response is also studied in the human beings itself. So it's not based on chemical constituents or duration of an activity or the sort of protein or macronutrients present. So it's not based on that. Everything is studied in human beings. And the homeostatic mechanisms happening, everything is classified functionally. That is the peculiarity of Ayurvedic science. And all the structures are classified on the basis of our perception, that it is classified into 5. So it is entirely different from Western science, and even a cell is made up of 5 kinds of substances. So 5 kinds of substances means we have 5 special sense organs and we are percepting through these 5 special sense organs. So there are 5 different kinds of structures in this human body as well as in the universe. So that is the basis for the structural classification. And as the body is living, it is classified based on their functions also. So benefit of classifying based on functions is it can be identified from signs and symptoms. So living body is always dynamic and always active. So we cannot find the structural status in a living body. So acharyas have classified it into three doshas. Three doshas are functionally classified structures. And this is maintaining the homeostasis of the body. Homeostasis, neurological mechanisms are there, hormonal mechanisms are there, and fluid mechanisms are there, which helps to maintain the homeostasis. And based on the functions, it is again classified into 5 vayus, 5 pittas, 5 kapas. So this basic understanding as well as application of the science is updated for modern day diseases, and those discoveries of diagnostic and treatment principles is science-based, evidence-based Ayurveda. As with this functional classification, and we are able to identify all the external causes, how it is going to impact in human body is very well explained. So with that, we can find out the exact causes, and that is how we are reversing diseases with science-based, evidence-based Ayurveda. It's not risk factors which are explained in our science. How each and every activity is going to impart its effect on the body is very well explained. So we know the external causes, what all intrinsic changes are happening, how the homeostatic mechanisms are getting altered, and how the signs and symptoms are developing. So with this, we are able to exactly address the cause and mechanism and remove the cause and reinstall or restore homeostasis. So as per SBEBA, these lifestyle diseases like hypertension, diabetes, or dyslipidemia, all are curable. It's based on prognostic standards of that in that subject. Then also we have clear-cut scientific principles or general principles which we are applying in specific situations. That is what science is. So that logical application is discovered in SBEBA, and these diseases are reversible as per SBEBA. So I'll be explaining.
You mean the person does not have to be on lifelong medications, right?
Yeah. As we are addressing the cause and
not
mechanisms.
The effect.
Yeah. So once the cause and mechanisms are addressed in Western system, it's not like that. So there will be suppressing the mechanism or altering the mechanism or masking the mechanism, and the symptoms will not be there. But it is deceiving yourself. The cause and mechanism is still present. How this homeostatic mechanism is getting altered, the intrinsic cause as well as the cause of those intrinsic cause is also mentioned in Ayurvedic science. So once we address the cause, external cause as well as intrinsic cause, all will automatically get subsided or mitigated, and the cure happens. It is not suppressing or altering or masking the symptoms or mechanisms. So it is possible with science-based, evidence-based Ayurveda.
So, sir, for example, in case of a heart attack or a stroke, is CBEBA, is it able to work on the culprits?
Actually, the modern, what they consider the immediate cause of heart attack is, they consider it as the blood clotting mechanism. But actually, it is not the blood clotting mechanism that is happening. Even glucose metabolism, cholesterol metabolism, everything are interlinked or interdependent. When glucose gets metabolized, the substrate from glucose metabolism is used to produce cholesterol. So if glucose metabolism is altered, production of cholesterol also gets altered. And it is taken to circulation by certain proteins, transport proteins. And so it is not the cholesterol that is responsible for the deposition. It is the transport proteins that are taking them to periphery or the circulation. And the deposition happens only if this cholesterol is not properly metabolized and absorbed, or glucose is not properly metabolized and absorbed. If glucose absorption is affected, it will get combine with certain proteins and results in advanced glycosylated end products. Certain products will be formed and that will attract again LDL. So glucose metabolism is directly linked with, or they are interdependent, glucose and cholesterol. So all the metabolic error is causing cholesterol, more cholesterol in circulation or more glucose in circulation, and cholesterol will not get deposited in a healthy individual. If there is endothelial dysfunction, endothelium is the innermost lining of blood vessel. If that dysfunction is present only, this cholesterol gets deposited. So it is not the cholesterol value that is important. Once, if there is a dysfunction developed, if the cholesterol value is less also, it may get deposited. And Ayurvedic science explains some other reasons also. It's not glucose that is the villain. It is carbohydrate that's the villain. In Ayurvedic science, excess use of sour and salt taste. So sour taste like tamarind or fermented foods or alcohols. So fermented things can precipitate the deposition if there is endothelial dysfunction only. So that's why in all, it's not happening. All addicts or all alcoholics, it's not happening because they may not be having endothelial dysfunction, or this cholesterol levels. It's not dependent on cholesterol levels. It is dependent on the endothelial dysfunction as well as his usage of excess sour, salt, and addictions. And once it develops, cholesterol deposition happens, it gradually occludes the lumen and inflammatory response happens. And once it gets disrupts, then blood clotting happens and that lumen gets occluded. So that blood clotting mechanism is only the immediate cause behind this heart attack. So cause behind is endothelial dysfunction. Certain causes might have caused endothelial dysfunction. So addressing that cause and its external causes is the prime objective that has to be done. So initially, so as soon as heart attack happens, SBBA manages with the treatment principle of anilomana. Anilomana is activating the patient. So if that block is there, that block will be removed and circulation will be reinstalled. So that treatment principle will be applied in the immediate stage, and in the later stage, the normalizing metabolism by correcting the intrinsic cause as well as extrinsic cause, which has produced this metabolic error. And later, when we address, when we are trying for this suppression of symptoms, and when we are trying to give medicines related to heart, it will not be effective, as we are to address the cause, exact cause itself. So habituation of that cause as well as habituation of that treatment principle eventually will alleviate this endothelial dysfunction also, and chances of getting another heart attack is very rare in those who are taking this SBEBA. So initial treatment is based on the immediately the circulation has to be reinstalled. So that treatment principle is adopted, and in the later phase, we are correcting the metabolism, stabilizing the metabolic status, and the endothelial dysfunction automatically gets disappeared. So we are addressing the cause itself.
So this is very interesting, but so you mean a surgery is not required? Because usually, immediate ballooning or stenting is advised the moment a person is diagnosed with a blockage.
Yeah, actually this invasive methods, angioplasty or bypass surgery, is not required, as the circulation, as soon as it gets reinstalled, we can start the treatment for normalizing the metabolism. Once the metabolism is corrected, chances of getting deposited, this cholesterol getting deposited, or the endothelial dysfunction, hypertension is one of the causes for endothelial dysfunction. So when we are treating hypertension, the channels are made clear. Sufficient nutrition is ensured in the circulation, as well as we are increasing the receptivity of cells. So once receptivity of cells increase, channels become clear, there is no chance for deposition or endothelial dysfunction. And once the patient attains that status, he is like all other healthy individuals. Chances of getting another attack is very rare. But when you are going for this angioplasty or bypass surgery, while doing that itself, chances for another attack is there. As well as the metabolic status is not fully corrected, or it's not at all corrected. The patient is asked to take whatever food he wants to take, and it's not like avoiding sugar and salt and drinking enough water is not enough. It has got specific causes in that subject, and all those are to be corrected, and all those are to be addressed, and finally the metabolism is to be corrected, which will ensure proper circulation, proper excretion, proper energy utilization, clear channels, everything will be in tandem, or the homeostatic mechanism we are reinstalling. We are curing a disease with health. It is not suppressing or anything else.
So another thing you just mentioned that, fermented foods is also one of the causes.
Pardon?
Fermented foods is also one of the causes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but there's a lot of saying that, like, for example, dosas, idlis, everything is fermented. So what should one ideally eat?
Actually, Ayurveda explains, or science explains,
Okay.
What sort of food one has to consume and how it should be, and what is hita ahara, what is wholesome, what is unwholesome, and when to take food, when to, after how much time you should do your activities, and everything is explained in a systematic manner. So it should be carbohydrate predominant diet always. So when you are practicing keto diet, protein rich diet, fiber rich diet, all these are wrong, because it should be Mathura Prayam. What is mentioned is it should be carbohydrate predominant diet, and proteins you will be getting from vegetables and legumes, lentils and other things, which you make as curries or adjuvants, and so salt and spices will be added along with sufficient quantity fat. So this is the ideal condition. You cannot compromise with carbohydrate. Other than carbohydrate, you can decrease fat. If there is excess nourishment, you can decrease the fat quantity. You can reduce the salt, or you can change the salt to Saintha Namak, which is not that much having hot potency as per our science. And sour things are to be avoided in such conditions, because an inflammatory status, or in which cholesterol deposition has happened, or cholesterol has increased in circulation, or glucose has increased in circulation, Mathura or sweet are not the villain in diabetic patients or dyslipidemic patients. The factor that causes adherence to the vessel wall is sour and salt taste. So fermented foods are having sour taste, and that facilitates the adherence to the vessel wall. So such foods are to be avoided, along with that which is difficult to get digested, like fried foods, or that will again reduce the circulation. So circulation should be smooth, and circulation and absorption should be smooth. For that, you should avoid difficult to digest foods. Difficult to digest is not just based on the digestive status. It has its nature itself will be like poha, which people used to take in for breakfast. It's difficult to get digested. It's in comparison with rice or other foods, it is very difficult to get digested. Such foods are to be avoided, along with bakery foods like bread, bun, biscuit. Bread, bun, etc. are fermented foods. Biscuits are very difficult to get digested, and nourishing value is also very less. Other than so much sweets are added, and nuts, dry fruits, which reduces metabolism, which is difficult to get digested, and which is rich in nourishment. Such foods are to be avoided. So other than the sour and salt. These things are to be avoided. And more important is one should practice exercise according to his metabolic and digestive status. Everything, all activities are mentioned according to the subject's strength and stamina. So it is mentioned as Artha Shaktya Nisheveda. So one should practice exercise only up to half of his strength or half of his stamina. And that also is mentioned specifically that it should, when somebody has to breathe through his mouth, that is the optimum exercise one has to practice. So everything is explained in human beings itself. It is not like you have to do 20 minutes exercise, you have to do 2 hours exercise. It's not like that. It is according to one's stamina and strength, one has to practice exercise till he has to breathe through his mouth. That is Artha Shakti, or half the strength. And so many things are to be avoided other than this sour and salt, including daytime sleep. Daytime sleep is an important cause or potent cause that causes the appearance of fat or lipids onto the vessel wall. When we are doing activities, we feel tired. We should feel tired only during night. And if we are taking food and sleeping during daytime, that can cause appearance of this fatty substance onto the vessel wall. But there should be endothelial dysfunction. Endothelial dysfunction cause are to be addressed first, and the circulation has to be normalized, and metabolism, if finally corrected, that will reinstall everything. Homeostasis.
So, sir, every disease is originally lifestyle oriented, or are there any other causes, or it's only a few diseases, you know?
Yeah, each lifestyle, each and every lifestyle, or each and every regimen is having an impact on the body. Body will be responding to each and every regimen in different ways. Different people will be reacting in different ways. So when this lifestyle, when this regimen is able to cause an imbalance in our homeostasis, that will produce a disease. So how much exercise one should practice is explained like that. Or when to sleep and how much hours one should sleep. So there is no rule that one should sleep for 8 hours or 6 hours or 10 hours. It is mentioned in Nidra Labho Yatha Kalam. So one should develop sleep after whole day's work and activity. And Vaikarinam Sopnanam Madrasanam. He should not have dreams indicative of diseases. So without any disease-specific dreams, he should have sound sleep. And the most important thing is when he wakes up in the morning, he should be fresh and active. He should be dynamic. He should be very much active. So that is good sleep. If he sleeps more than that, that will be causing an imbalance in the homeostasis. When that threshold is crossed, that results in diseases. So all diseases are having some favorable and unfavorable regimen. So we are modifying those regimen along with, so it is equally important as that of food and medicine. So food, medicine and lifestyle are to be modified to reverse the cause. So when we are addressing the cause and mechanism, all these are to be considered equally important.
So, sir, if in one patient there are more than one diseases, how will Civiba handle that?
Pardon?
If one patient has more than one disease,
yeah.
So suppose a person is, say, diabetic and hypertensive and has, a high cholesterol level and, maybe a heart problem. So how will Civiba address that?
Each and every individual is having a susceptibility to various diseases, or their genetic makeup will be deciding which all diseases they are prone to or they are susceptible to. So all the diseases developing in an individual will be having a common link or common cause. So that common cause can be identified with SBEBA. There are certain methods to identify the common cause behind all these things. In the case of, if a patient comes with, some days back, I had a patient with 10 years back, she had chikungunya, and later she developed menorrhagia, and at present she is having herpes zoster infection. So, but as per SBEB or scientific Ayurveda, there is a common connection between all these things: chikungunya, menorrhagia, and herpes zoster. Though grossly, if you look, there are so many different kinds of diseases are manifesting in that individual, but there is a common link. When you address that common link, or when you address that common cause, all the diseases get subsided with the same treatment. Likewise, diabetes, hypertension, and dyslipidemia developing in the subject. When you correct the metabolism by normalizing or by mitigating the cause, all these problems, I told you that glucose metabolism is interdependent with cholesterol metabolism. So when you are normalizing the metabolism, you are normalizing the excretion, you are normalizing the energy utilization, you are making hormonal balance. So all these things automatically get subsided. A patient with diabetes mellitus, arthritis, and hypertension, we are treating with granules of medicine. We are addressing the common cause only, and we know the external causes also for that intrinsic cause. So when we are addressing that cause, the cause, as soon as the cause gets mitigated, the metabolism gets corrected, and all those things, diabetes or dyslipidemia or hypertension, everything automatically get corrected, because channels will be clear, receptivity increases, and sufficient nutrition absorption take place. Hypertension is body's effort to meet the tissue demands. So tissue demands are not met because of that hypercirculatory effort is happening. So when metabolism is corrected, absorption takes place perfectly and channels will be clear, and that correction of metabolism itself will make clear channels and BP becomes normal.
So, sir, if somebody's been on a medication, if suppose somebody's been on a medication for any of these lifestyle diseases, so, how will that, can Civiba help them reverse the diseases as well? Because there's already medical intervention, right?
That's what I said. For Western system medicine,
Yeah.
They are addressing the symptoms or the mechanisms that produce. They are trying to suppress, alter, or mask the symptoms.
Correct.
So, but thief is inside the house itself. So you are not addressing the cause. Thief is not removed, or thief is not moved out. So the cause behind, when addressed, you need not take medicines forever. So you will be like all other individuals, healthy individuals, and your chances of developing another heart attack or dyslipidemia or diabetes will be less. And once they get recovered from these diseases, an important fact is that they become self-realized.
Correct.
Self-realized in the sense they will be able to understand what is wholesome, what is unwholesome. So that sort of self-realization also happens with this scientific treatment. You cannot be a freak, or you cannot have everything. You should know your body, and you should have food according to your body status. That is very important. So disease is a warning that you should follow this regimen, and you have susceptibility to all those diseases, and disease is a warning that you should be disciplined in this. So this discipline, the food regimen and other things are for the disease, not for medicine. If you are taking Ayurvedic medicine or modern medicine, whatever it is, or homeopathic medicine, this regimen, food, medicated water, is to reverse the cause.
Correct.
So if you don't follow this, then if you take medicine also, it's not going to cure it.
Mm.
You will be taking lifelong medicines. So that discipline is very important, that one should be knowing what is wholesome and what is unwholesome. And after that, he should practice exercise. He should be knowing which food is beneficial for him. And he should always keep his metabolism normal. So that is the method with which we are reversing and we are preventing further development. It is not prevention of heart attack alone or prevention of developing diabetes alone. It is prevention of all sorts of diseases. We are curing with health, not by subsiding one disease or prevention
Symptom
of
of a disease.
heart. No, it's not prevention of heart and prevention of liver disease is different. We are maintaining, we are making a balance in the homeostasis. So he is perfectly healthy and chances of developing other diseases are very less.
So, sir, what is the relevance of lab tests, the value of lab tests in case of lifestyle diseases?
Yeah, SBEPA has deciphered the modern diseases, how to understand and how to explore, how to apply the diagnostic and treatment principles in modern day diseases, along with lab results also. Our lab investigation reports will be giving clues regarding the metabolic status. So when the blood protein test is done, you will be getting the differential count as well as leukocyte count. All this will give the immune status in that individual. Metabolic status we can identify. We can identify the disease. So if C peptide is less, we can understand the mechanism also, that beta cells are not active. This type 1 diabetes, or beta cells are not produced, or decreased secretion of insulin. And or though insulin is produced, insulin resistance is there. So we can check insulin level and identify the mechanism. What mechanism is happening? Hyperinsulinemia or hypoinsulinemia. What is the mechanism that's happening? We can identify. So we can identify the mechanism as well as the disease. But the intrinsic cause, if we identify dyslipidemia also, endothelial dysfunction, the cause of endothelial dysfunction and external causes, we won't be able to identify. If we identify it as hyperinsulinemia, the cause behind that, we won't be able to identify. So lab reports will be giving inference regarding the metabolic status or immune status or diagnosis of the disease. And the treatment, when we are giving, we are not treating based on the lab values. So many objective parameters, other than these objective parameters, subjective parameters are very important for us. Symptoms of health are given in our science, like the patient should improve, he should have good appetite, good digestive power, good sleep, he should have good stamina, he should improve in strength and stamina, his natural urges should be proper, and so many things are mentioned. Those subjective parameters are more important than, and he becomes more and more active. When metabolism is corrected, he becomes more and more active. So if the lab reports, if the lab values are reducing or not, the more important factor is the subjective improvement. And once subjective improvement happens, automatically the lab values will be coming to normal and the exact cause also will be removed. So the chances of again aggravation is very less. So lab values will be giving us guidance regarding whether our treatment is going in the right direction or not. But it will not give any clue regarding the cause of the disease. That has to be identified by an SBBA practitioner, or scientific practitioner only can identify, because causes are identified in the patient itself. It is not risk factor that is mentioned. Cause becomes cause when it produces a disease. So it can be identified in the patient only. Yeah.
So, sir, like medications and scientific lifestyle, they're required for the rest of the life, right, of the patient? whoever reversed their disease through SBA, right?
All are having susceptibility to various diseases. So once wholesome and unwholesome lifestyle is deciphered, then he should follow that lifestyle. It is not like he should take medicines throughout his life. It is not the medicine that is to be taken. It is the lifestyle and medicated water according to his constitution or prakriti, according to his immune status, according to his circulation, according to his excretion, according to his hormone status, according to his habituation. Everything has to be corrected throughout one's life to remain healthy. If he deviates from that also, he should know where he has deviated, then only it can be corrected easily. So that is how health is maintained. So we are not taking medicine and suppressing the disease throughout one's life. We are making
Addressing
health,
the root
and
cause.
we are recommending a healthy lifestyle to prevent further diseases, and then only he can be happy and healthy.
Correct. So what are the initiating causes for hypertension, diabetes, dyslipidemia? And what can people do in general to prevent and reverse them?
Hypertension, as I told, it is when tissue demands are not met, circulation will be increasing. Body tries to make more blood reach there and more perfusion happens. So body thinks like that and circulation is increased. That hypercirculatory effort is termed as hypertension. So once these tissue demands are solved or tissue demands are met, blood pressure automatically gets normal. For that, clear channels should be there, sufficient nutrition should be there. If the patient is anemic also, he can develop hypertension as sufficient blood nutrition is not reaching there. So that can also cause hypertension. So ensuring sufficient nutrition in blood and ensuring clear channels and also increasing the receptivity. Receptivity is increased by normalizing metabolism. So for all these, there are specific scientific principles behind all this. How to increase receptivity, so how to increase uptake. All these are done in different ways, and the causes that alters these mechanisms are very well explained. So we have to find out the exact cause in that subject which causes the impairment of circulation or impairment of absorption. And that cause will be addressed and it will be removed and hypertension will be normalized, or it will be without that condition. It will be 100% normal. And diabetes and dyslipidemia are also related with diet or metabolic error. So for that, diet should be practiced. Diet, there are certain things to be avoided and certain things to be practiced. So practice is wholesome diet. It should be taken in proper time, in proper way. It is mentioned as Hitapuk, Midapuk, and Kalapuk. When hunger develops, the hunger status always should be above. If it is out of 10, it should be always above 7. So hunger status when reaches 8 out of 10 only, one should have food. And what sort is wholesome food is, what I said is carbohydrate food itself, but better thing is brown rice is better than white rice. Or you can have wheat also, as it is wholesome diet. And the if he is having dyslipidemia or diabetes, excess nutrition should be there, excess nourishment should not be there. So excess fat and everything should be cut. And sour and salt. Sour things, or everything should be avoided if he is having dyslipidemia or diabetes, because it precipitates the deposition of cholesterol or triglycerides in vessel wall. And salt, instead of salt, one can use saintha namak. And um, many snacks which they take are fried things, and all those fried things and bakery foods are to be avoided. And sprouts, like germinated foods, are considered as good for heart, but actually it is difficult to get digested, and it may produce um, circulatory effort will be increased, because such substances which are difficult to get digested and absorbed, if taken, that hypercirculatory effort will be increased, and that can reduce the circulation and cause predispose to cholesterol deposition. So sprouts, it's not based on the nutritive value or macronutrients and micronutrients and other things, or chemical constituents of a herb or other things. It is based on certain principles which are identified in the human beings itself. So ghee is considered as the best fat. But when we look from this Western system, they are identifying it as saturated fat, and saturated fat can predispose to increased cholesterol and other things. But it's not like that. Ghee will increase the metabolism. As metabolism is improved, ghee is the best fat that can be consumed once the subject is healthy. And other exercise is equally important. Avoidance of daytime sleep is equally important. And it's not like avoidance of salt and sugar and drinking enough water. It is not enough. You should be having these things in mind, that it should not be difficult to get digested, or it should not reduce metabolism, and it should not be having overnourishment. It should not be rich food. These three things are very important. Plus, the avoidance things are also equally important, like daytime sleep, addictions, and increased stress that can be controlled by practice of listening to music or listening to whatever is they are inclined to. And finally, uh, one should ensure that his metabolism along with excretion and along with energy utilization, exercise should be done in empty stomach, and it should be done up to half strength, or Artha Shaktya Nisheveda. And uh, in disease status, one should avoid all those things which are causing this metabolic error. And so these avoidance strategies are same for all diseased individuals, but the cause is to be identified, and if it is inflammatory cause, the medicated water and other things are to be according to that. These are the public can practice all these things.
So, sir, like dal chawal is the staple diet of Indians, of most of us.
Chawal in North India, they are using white rice. White rice can undergo fermentation. That is what is mentioned in the science. So fermented food again is not wholesome for that individual who is prone to develop or who is having diabetes and dyslipidemia. Chawal means dal is protein rich and it's wholesome, but dal chawal, the chawal should be brown rice. In Kerala, we get broken rice. Both these are very good. Or you can use broken wheat also. That is also.
And so for dal, like you mentioned that, the sprouts are not healthy.
Yeah.
So what would be your, like advice to somebody who is like a sportsman or children who aim to be a sportsman? They what form of protein should be given to them?
Sportsmen will be having good metabolic status, good stamina and strength. So they can have all sorts of food, and according to their susceptibility, when they stop sports only, they will be prone to develop these metabolic disorders. Till then, their metabolism will be perfect. So they can have all sorts of food, and protein-rich food they can have, but the food should be always carbohydrate predominant. that is wholesome. You cannot remove deficiency by giving that thing. Like iron deficiency, if you give iron, it will not be compensated. If you give in an absorption is more important. It is not the quantity of protein or carbohydrate or fat that you are giving. How much it is absorbed, that is more important.
True.
So fat, if you give also, dietary fat is not utilized. Dietary cholesterol is not utilized. Body is utilizing, body is producing its own cholesterol and it is utilizing it. So body knows what to be absorbed, what not to be absorbed. So it is your body status that is determining how much is to be absorbed. So if you take so much proteins also, if your metabolic status is impaired, it will not get absorbed. So that's what I said, keto diet or protein rich diet or fiber diet or antioxidants, or people are taking lemon juice to increase antioxidants. All those are wrong because it will not happen like that. Body status determines which food is favorable to you. All proteins, the best is green gram.
Okay.
And all legumes, all lentils can be used.
Okay.
For sportsmen, specifically, they are not prone to develop this metabolic disorder because their metabolism will be perfect. So they can have all these things.
Okay. And so what are the best and the easiest ways to ensure optimized functionality or functioning of the immune system, the metabolism, circulation, and drainage?
Ayurvedic science, health symptoms are also mentioned. It is not like when blood values are normal, you are healthy. It is not like that. So people say that when cholesterol is suppressed, they will be saying that my cholesterol is under control. When glucose is suppressed, they will be saying that my glucose is under control. That word is wrong because it is not under control. It is suppressed or masked. When BP is raised, pumping is reduced, or beta blockers are given, or vasodilatation is given. Blood vessels are dilated, and they think that BP is under control. It is not under control, it is suppressed. So when it is suppressed, all sorts of dysfunction can happen. This endothelial dysfunction, cholesterol deposition, inflammation, followed by rupture and blood clotting, heart attack, stroke, everything can happen. So it is not the values that are important, or blood values are not that much important. It should be in normal range, or it should, if it goes little above also, it's okay. The health symptoms mentioned in Ayurveda are one should have good strength. Strength should be improving day by day. It should not be deteriorating, or you should not have weakness increasing day by day. Stamina should improve. Nourishment should improve. And food, it is mentioned as apyavahari apilashaha, ruchira ahara kale, kale samyak jaranam. One should feel to eat. His appetite status should increase up to 8 out of 10. Then only he should have food. And he should be able to relish food. And it should get digested in proper time, in proper way. So 3 things related to digestion and 3 things related to sleep. He should feel sleepy after day-long activities. He should develop sleep in proper time.
Correct.
And he should have sound sleep. And when he gets up, when he wakes up, he should be active. That is the most important thing. Whether he sleeps for 4 hours or 10 hours or 5 hours, he should be active on getting up. That is an important sign with which we can identify that his metabolism, his energy production, energy utilization, energy storage, everything is going in tandem. And also, the natural urges are to be produced on time, and he has to attend all these natural urges. And also, feeling of happiness that cannot be produced artificially. If your BP is under control, also you will not get that mental well-being. Mental well-being is good perception, good thinking, good judgment, good response. All these are mental well-being. So that mental well-being is giving pleasure or happiness. Along with physical well-being, mental well-being also happens when you are in correct treatment and when you are responding properly.
True. Usually a person is more agitated when a person is unwell, you know.
Pardon?
A person
Pardon?
is usually more agitated when a person is unwell.
Yeah.
Okay. So, sir, considering now that the pandemic is here and, we're expecting a third wave coming in,
Yeah.
we have big expectations from SBEBA after hearing such a fruitful talk.
Infection, virus present outside doesn't mean anything. When it impairs the metabolism inside an individual, then it becomes infection. Otherwise, it's not an infection. When you find a virus inside somebody's body, it's not infection. When virus causes affliction of this metabolism, immune response happens. That is how an infection develops. So infection is basically a metabolic error. Infection as well as inflammation. Both are same. Infection is fever developing. So immune response locally is inflammation, and in a general manner, it is fever, or localized fever is inflammation, or generalized inflammation is fever. So when we are addressing this metabolic error, we are correcting the metabolic error. It is very well mentioned in our science how this develops and how it can be corrected, and within how many days exactly it is mentioned that if you practice this sort of diet and avoidance of so many things, it will be corrected within 5 days. So when you are correcting that metabolism, all the metabolic disturbances are getting corrected along with that. You are getting clear channels. Once you sweat after fever, that means your channels are clear. When your channels are clear, circulation becomes proper. And when circulation becomes proper, your BP comes down. And when receptivity of cells increase, there will not be excess glucose or excess cholesterol in your blood. Everything will be utilized. So when absorption, digestion, metabolism, and circulation, excretion, everything is being made normal. So you are restoring homeostasis by treating a viral infection or any sort of infection. So one infection has subsided, you are coming back to health. When your metabolism is correct, metabolism is basis of all activities in the body. So once your metabolism is corrected, you have to identify the cause in that subject and correct that metabolism. All other parameters are going to come to normal. We are seeing in many patients viral fever first aid we are conducting. Hasta-lamba viral fever first aid is first aid only we are giving.
Yes.
And once the patient sweats and fever subsides, blood values will come down, the inflammatory parameters will come down. Along with that, glucose level as well as dyslipidemia also gets corrected to an extent. This we are not doing with medicines. Once medicines are also given, we can completely reverse along with that infection. When you are curing that infection, along with that itself, we can normalize the metabolism and all these metabolic disorders.
Lovely. So basically, there is a scope for improvement and curing COVID, because the fear of COVID is so much and people are running helter-skelter, So,
Ayurveda, there is no COVID or whether it's viral or any other thing. So how much metabolic error is happening is more important for us. So when metabolic error happens, certain signs and symptoms will be developing. And based on that, the severity of infection we can identify. And once we correct that metabolic error, so immunity will be acting properly and the virus cytotoxic T cells will be destroying that cells where virus proliferates. Or bacterial infection, it gets metabolized. So it is not antibacterial medicines we are giving. We are metabolizing that. So nothing will be left. Bacteria or virus, whatever it is, we are not giving against a bacteria or virus. We are activating the immune system against that bacteria or virus, and it will be completely destroyed and removed. Through excretion, it will be removed from the body. So it's the perfect way or perfect natural way to cure an infection and reverse or come back to health.
Lovely. So we can just open the forum for questions. Somebody asking which dosha is prominent in hypertension.
Not
Sorry, sir, you're not audible.
not possible to explain everything through this. Anyway, the circulation happens by two vayus that we can identify by central nervous system. There is vasomotor center and the central regulation from vasomotor center or sympathetic and parasympathetic autonomic nervous system is there. There is conducting system in heart itself. So this will be regulating the cardiac activities is central regulation. Central regulation is done by pranavayu, and peripherally the circulation is done by vyanavayu, which is responsible for the circulation. So cardiac output is done by pranavayu and peripheral resistance is by vyanavayu. So this is the most simplified manner. There are a lot of other things to be explained.
I understand. Sir, can you elaborate the causes with some examples?
In case of hypertension, this central regulatory mechanism can be affected by many factors are there, which is explained in our science that if you do over exercise, that can cause hypertension. If you are fasting or if you are overeating, both these can cause. If you are suppressing your urges, that can cause this central regulation problems. And in the case of peripheral resistance, many causes are also mentioned along with stress and other things. And it can be initiated by an inflammation. So when body gets inflammation or when an infection happens, at that time the circulation will be impaired and the tissues will not be getting sufficient nutrition. At that time also blood pressure increases. So there the treatment principle is not like other things. There we have to correct the cause of inflammation, and once the inflammation gets corrected, BP automatically comes down. It can be due to excess other metabolites like glucose or cholesterol or other fats in blood can also slow down the circulation. There the treatment is targeted on the glucose metabolism or normalizing the metabolism will be targeting. And if it is due to addictions, toxins, so that we will be detoxifying. So that is entirely different. An allergic patient getting hypertension will be managing will be finding out the common link in that subject and will be with one medicine itself. And the treatment principle is entirely different in a patient with inflammation or arthritis. If the patient is having hypertension and arthritis, the mode of management is entirely different. If patient is having hypotension and arthritis or diabetes, the mode of management is entirely different. So it is according to the subject's intrinsic or subject status, disease status, and based on the cause, treatment principle is determined. So causes, if I tell also, it's very difficult to identify in the subject.
Then, sir, is buttermilk, if buttermilk should be avoided?
Yeah, buttermilk is a fermented food. So fermented, everything is precipitating or it is having high potency. When such condition is persisting in the body, it can trigger the adherence of cholesterol onto the blood vessel wall. Sour, salt, and addictions are the most important causes for the deposition It is not sweet dishes or other things or increased diabetes that is the cause of deposition. In those individuals who are prone to develop deposition of cholesterol, when they practice excess salt, excess these toxic substances like addictions, it definitely cause the deposition in that subject.
So just one question, is fermented foods are not good for gut health? Okay, we'll just take the rest of the questions. We'll come back. So probable causes of hypertension based on dosha. Somebody's asking.
Not Ayurvedic class.
And somebody's request, Dr. Anil is requesting if you could share some case studies with treatment adopted. So I think that would be in class.
Minimum explanation. So, minimum explanation is prana and dhyana vayu. That's all. In hyperthyroidism, it can increase because of increased metabolism. So that condition is different. So inflammatory condition, when we treat for inflammation, it subsides completely. It is to be, in practice, it has to be shown.
Again, somebody is requesting for case studies. Then, somebody's asking, cannot digest red rice. They get bloating after consumption.
Pardon? Digest?
Somebody cannot digest red rice. They get bloating after consumption.
So there will be a basic cause behind that. It's not allergic or something like that. So there will be a basic cause. So bloating is body's response. It is not the fault of red rice or brown rice. The body's status is not admitting that. That's why he is developing certain symptoms. Actually, that condition in our science is mentioned as Vishama Agni. So Vishama Agni will be having whatever food they consume, they will be having all these things, and to certain foods it will be more. So that's it. So it's not the problem of red rice or brown rice. When you address the problem or when you treat the problem, that gets corrected. It's not an allergic manifestation.
Then somebody is asking, can we take Amla on a daily basis?
Amla, if you are healthy, you can have, but it should not be excess. Excess means if you are taking 1 or 2 Amla daily, it's okay. But it's sour taste, it's having sour taste. So when you are having such conditions like increased metabolites in blood or cholesterol or glucose, that is not good. Though it is mentioned as a medicine for hyperglycemia, we have to address the basic cause. If basic cause is not addressed, and if you are trying to reduce glucose level, there are many medicines are there. So many medicines people are prescribing, but it will not have effect, or it will be temporary effect only. As soon as you stop those medicines, it will come back. So the basic metabolism is to be corrected, and if he is healthy, he can have all sorts of food. There is no restriction for that. If it is readily getting digested and proper, everything is happening, all those signs and symptoms which I mentioned for health is happening, then he can have everything. But once this homeostasis is disturbed, he has to follow certain lifestyle regimen, and certain foods are to be avoided, certain foods are to be practiced.
Can we reverse intolerance conditions like lactose intolerance?
Yeah, up to a certain level. All diseases will be having a genetic component. I am susceptible to certain diseases, you will be susceptible to certain diseases. Everything will be based on your genetic constitution or my genetic constitution. That doesn't mean that if it is by birth itself, if you are having something, that cannot be corrected because it has become part of your body. And if it is developing later in your life, that can be corrected. And we need continuous follow-ups and continuous medications and continuous stabilization of your immune status is to be done.
How should we analyze and treat the metabolic errors occurring in patients working in odd timing schedules? Take it like professionals and nurses.
If they are continuously working in that situation, their timetable has to be adjusted. They can have daytime sleep if they are awakening during night. And daytime sleep is to be reduced to half the time they sleep during night. If they are sleeping 8 hours during night, the daytime sleep should be 4 hours only. And it should be before food itself, not after taking food. If you sleep after taking food, that will be a unwholesome practice. That can cause, again, when fasting blood sugar is after metabolism of sugar or glucose. And postprandial means there will be very much rise of glucose in blood. So at that time, when you are sleeping, again, metabolic error chances are there. Those who are practicing awakening in night can sleep 4 hours during day, and they can follow all the other things like exercise in empty stomach. Exercise should always be practiced in empty stomach. When cells are ready to receive, the excess energy will be utilized. Stored energy will be utilized and clear channels develop. So exercise also should be practiced in empty stomach. And after taking food, it should be wholesome, and he can practice medicated water or plain boiled water also according to his body status. So that's how we have to adjust, because he cannot sleep during night.
Then Harini is asking, many take buttermilk to reduce the body heat. What to do in such a situation?
So it's not the only solution. Yes. Buttermilk is not the only solution. So if they are having metabolic error, they should not have buttermilk, because it will aggravate that altered metabolic status, or metabolic error will be increased. When fermented things are taken, that if it is due to a microbial infection, that favorable circumstance increases in the body. So at that stage, you should not take. Otherwise, in a healthy individual, one can have buttermilk to subsidies or for heat.
Is eating less generally better than eating more food to avoid lifestyle disorder?
Not eating less or eating more. You have to take according to your appetite. Not full stomach. It should be maximum up to 2/3 stomach. Some should be left free, so that you develop appetite in the next hunger time. Not skip food. Both are equally hazardous. If you take more food, it becomes difficult to digest. If you take less food, sufficient nutrition you will not get. Sorry. So body tries to increase the circulation. So body tries to hypercirculatory effort happens. That can increase BP. If you take more food also, metabolism will be impaired, and that can also cause hypercirculatory effort and hypertension. So eat according to your hunger status, and that should be wholesome food. Wholesome food itself you have to take.
Then Namaste sir, is sour and salt to be avoided for type 1 diabetic too?
Type 1 diabetes is also initiated by an autoimmune mechanism. Autoimmune mechanism will be producing inflammation. So the same treatment principle of inflammation or fever is to be adopted in type 1 also. So they also have to avoid. So
That's once we cure from hypertension and diabetes through Cibiba, we can live normal life, or we need to continue to take some precautions.
normal life means they should be self-realized. They should be knowing what is wholesome for them, what is not wholesome for them. They need not have any medication. but they can have medicated water so that his circulation and metabolism are kept intact. And lifestyle is always, because each and every regime is having an impact in the body. So one should follow that lifestyle, which is favorable for him. And he cannot have everything what he wants. He should be self-realized and controlled. Whatever he wants, he can take, but according to his hunger status, according to its metabolic status. And if any infection or inflammation develops, he has to adopt SBBA guidelines itself so that homeostasis is restored and health is improving day by day.
I think that should be the last couple of questions.
Gut health. Okay.
So,
You were asking about gut health.
yes, sir.
Gut health, everything takes place naturally.
Mm.
So we need not concentrate on one thing to improve gut health. You are taking this fermented things to improve heart functioning. You are taking some other thing. It's not like that. Homeostasis is balance between so many functions: neurological function, muscular functions, hormonal functions, or energy utilizing functions. So everything should be in balance. Then only homeostasis happens. So when you are taking something excess for your gut health, that will be definitely causing a bad impact on your body. Always the food should be carbohydrate rich or madhura praya. So it should not be sour praya or sour predominant. So if it becomes sour predominant, there are so many ill effects due to excess sour.
Okay.
Yeah.
A person may not have symptoms or any discomfort in the body, even if their blood sugar level is very high, which can only be known through test. So is regular blood test is important to prevent disease?
When they are on modern Western drugs, their sugar level will be suppressed and it will be under control, what they mean. But if the absorption or metabolism is not normal, that will result in some weakness. There is no sufficient energy resource. Energy utilization is not happening properly. So that can result in weakness, and he can have other symptoms also, constipation, or his BP can rise because tissues are not getting sufficient nutrition, and it can get deposited in other sites or complications can develop. So he will not be without any symptoms. There are health symptoms which sufficient appetite, and it should get digested properly, good sleep, good active, feeling active, and increase of strength and stamina. All these should be there. It's not without any symptom, a pathology will happen, a disease mechanism will happen.
The last question for today, is there any medicated water to practice who is healthy?
To remain healthy.
Who is healthy?
So it's according to one's constitution. It's not like one medicine for remaining healthy. You cannot be like that. In Kerala climate, it is better to have shunti and dry ginger and coriander mixed in 2:4 ratio. Dry ginger in 2 and coriander in 4 ratio. Double the quantity coriander, and that can be put in water and boiled. And according to the medical other conditions, you can adjust. If it is very hot in North India, you can have this dhania alone or coriander alone. And if you are healthy, you can take plain boiled water also. The thing
So
is
fresh dhania, or you recommend coriander seeds?
dry coriander.
Dry
You
coriander.
can just fry it and powder it. The most important thing is your food intake, your metabolism, and your activities
Mm.
should be balanced. So according to your energy utilization, you should be having good appetite, and according to that appetite, you should be taking food. So if these three things are considered properly, you will be healthy.
So you recommend
If you are
taking
not doing any exercise, don't eat much.
Yeah, that's true. So you recommend eating these in the morning on an empty stomach, like boiling them in the water and having that water?
No, it's not like uh, water as medicine. You can have water whenever you feel thirsty.
No,
Whenever
like
you are
the
taking water
mixture of rye, ginger, and
and
coriander,
coriander,
that should be
instead
had
of
on an empty stomach.
water, you can drink this water itself,
Okay.
so that you are habituating your body with this water, so that circulation will be normalized, excretion will be normalized, and this endothelial dysfunction will not develop. So this for sure, 100% sure.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
So with this, we come to the end of today's session.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir, for taking out time. It really means a lot to me. And I'm sure everybody has benefited a lot from this session.
Thank you,
The
Ishmiti,
session will
for
be...
giving me an opportunity for this.
It is really my
Thank
pleasure. And I will, contact you with various other topics that we can take up, because the world needs to understand that there is a healing capability within our own bodies. And within with minimal aid of medication, we can alter it and help the body come to its equilibrium, instead of being on medicines for life. And each, disease manifesting another one without realizing that that's what we are doing. Yeah. And this session will be available on our YouTube channel, The Alternative Initiative. I also have an Insta handle called The Alternative Initiative. If you'd like to follow and stay updated, you may please. All those who are watching today's session. Thank you so much, sir. My pleasure. Thank you.